All right, Taylor Cameron here from Call700sports.com with BMX rider legendary Jamie Bestwick. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Hey, listen, I'm not gonna waste a lot of time talking about everything that you've done, because you've done a lot, and it's pretty incredible. You got a fan in me and a lot of great friends here in Salt Lake. Real quick, touch on the Salt Lake stop. Tell us about it. What do you love about it?
I think I like most about the Salt Lake stop is the fans. The fans that come out are really great. They're very clued in. Obviously, you know, Utah is the state of sport, and it's a very outdoors place. So when the fans come to watch the Dew Tour, they already know what's going on. You know, they know a lot of the riders, because Dew Tour has a great history of having fantastic BMX riders come from this state. And they come to support them, they come to support the great riders that come in from all across the world. You know, a lot of them are which are fan favorites in Utah, so, you know, it's just a great time. There's always a good atmosphere at the contest. The thin air in Salt Lake allows a lot of the riders to go a couple feet higher than they normally do. I wouldn't buy into that too much, it's just something I just threw out there, kind of hoping that that's the effect that it gives you, but you know, it's just one of those stops that everybody seems to have a great time at, and you know, the competitions are always tough and fierce, but that's what, you know, the fans expect. They want a great contest, they want to see the biggest tricks, and this is the stop where it all happens.
Yeah, well, you know, we always brag that Salt Lake gets the biggest crowds of all the Dew Tour stops, so we're pretty proud of ourselves for that. I want to go back and touch on something you just said, though. 4 years ago, you kind of came on the scene here in the Dew Tour specifically. You've been around for a while longer than that, but I mean, you unseated Dave Mirra, and everyone knows Dave Mirra. You know, he was kind of the king of BMX, and now everyone says, well, you're the king of BMX now. I want to know what it feels like for a guy like you to come and unseat a name like him.
Well, you know, it's obviously a great accolade, you know, to receive that. You know, you're very good at what you have a passion for, but. You know, I didn't really, you know, set out to unseat, you know, anybody really. I just had my goals in mind, and whoever was the best rider at the time was obviously the biggest competition. And, you know, back in 05, you know, there was a lot of competition from a lot of other guys, and it just meant that, you know, being at this level, you really had to step up your game, regardless of who you were riding against. But, you know, it's just nice that, you know, I've come into these events and I've finally managed to, you know, carve out my own kind of piece of history, you know, and when I leave these events one day, you know, the legacy that I leave behind will be, you know, one of winning a lot of Dew Tours and winning a lot of Dew Cups, and I think that's something that will take, you know, a little bit of time for somebody to catch up to, so.
Well, I think with your numbers, it's going to take more than a little bit of time for someone.
You know, it's something I never set out to do. You know, every contest I always have the same kind of hopes and aspirations, but you know, you're riding against the best guys in the world, and you know, all the preparation you do back at home sometimes can account for nothing. I mean, I was just out in practice today, and I was doing a trick that I pretty much do every day, and it just went wrong for me. And if that would have gone wrong in the contest, then right now I would have been scrambling, and maybe this contest might have not been the one where I can clinch the Dew Cup at. But yeah, them's the breaks, and luckily it's a practice day. But to be called the kind of king of BMX is sometimes a little bit far-fetched, because I don't think there is a specific king of BMX. It's just nice to know that people really appreciate what I do, because I put a lot of time and effort into riding and making what I feel is my lifelong passion look like a work of art.
Well, it does, and you do that, and myself included, your fans, we appreciate what you do. Real quick, let's talk about Team Toyota. Tell us, you got involved with them. I know you're driving the Prius for them now. Let's talk about that for a sec.
Yeah, you know, we just, it was the first time I jumped in a 2010 Prius yesterday, and we drove it out to Miller Motorsports, and it was actually a lot of fun, you know, and it was kind of a learning experience too, because I didn't really, you know, I'd always seen the Prius as like an eco car, and it is, but it's also much more than that. It's like, it's this sporty little eco-friendly Lamborghini blowing car. I mean, you know, just sitting with the guys from Toyota, they're saying like, do you know that this car is more aerodynamic than a Lamborghini? And I'm like, shut up. They're like, no, we're serious. Like, it actually is. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. And they're like, and here's another fact. I'm like, all right. And it's like 85% of the car is recyclable. And you're like,
wow.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy that these kind of statistics go into this car, and it's basically just looked as an eco-friendly car when it's a sports car. It's a gas-loving machine. It's really spacious inside, super smooth. It's got a lot of fun when you hit the gas pedal. You can really get up there. And the new ones on the outside look pretty badass. You know, we drove a black one yesterday and it looked really sharp. You know, had a couple of people checking me out going down the freeway, and we smoked a couple of soccer moms in a competitor's car. So you know, we really took it to them, and I didn't doubt for a second that the Toyota couldn't handle it out there on the freeway. I was super confident, and I had 4 big dudes in the car, and we still held our own on that freeway. So, but if any policeman's watching this, we wasn't speeding. It was 0 to 75 on the freeway.
Never speeding, never speeding, right?
We won. Didn't go any higher than 75.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Jamie. Really appreciate you. Look forward to seeing how you do this weekend, and good luck. It's Jamie Bestwick, Team Toyota, down at the Do Tour Toyota Challenge. I'm Taylor Cameron with Call700sports.com.
Thank you, guys.